Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Odessa Okra, and I am the local art critic. Now, today I wanted to do something a little extra special because the local high school just did a production of Annie. Annie's one of my favorite musicals. You see, well, I'm going to tell you all about the plot in just a second, but I wanted to sing for you guys the most famous song to ever come out of Annie. It reminds us that we just got to keep our chins up and think about tomorrow. It's really good. And if you've never heard it, I am honored to be your first hearing of Tomorrow from Annie. The sun'll come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow. Come what may. Tomorrow, I love ya. Tomorrow, you're always a day away. Now, if that song just don't bring a little tear to your eye, then you haven't heard about Annie. Let me tell you about Annie. All right. Getting choked up. She's a redhead. She's the only redhead in the orphanage, aside from the woman playing Miss Hannigan. And some fans out there think that Miss Hannigan might actually be Annie's real mother. Leave your comments below. I want to hear more about that fan theory. But anyway, so Little Orphan Annie, that's her good Christian name, is Little Orphan Annie. Little Orphan Annie, she is in the Little Orphan Annie-age with all these other little orphan girls. And she tries to escape the tyranny of the alcoholic Miss Hannigan. And Miss Hannigan, she's just trying to live her best life. She doesn't really know how to raise children. But again, Annie might be her real kid. We don't know. So anyway, Annie escapes and then gets brought back. But she befriends a dog on the way there. And when she comes back to the orphanage, some little blonde bimbo comes in, and she's like, let me get into character. I've always wanted to be an actor. Let me get into character. Yes, Daddy Warbucks would just love one of those little girls around the house. And little Orphan Annie tricks Grace, the bimbo, into, adopting her on a temporary basis. They just wanted to show a little bit of kindness, Mr. Daddy Warbucks did. So Miss Hannigan, all bitter and drunk, lets her go. She lets her go, but says, you can bring her back with a receipt. So Annie goes to Daddy Warbucks' house, and Daddy Warbucks, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was thinking about Daddy Warbucks' big old bald head again. How do you think he lost all that hair? Probably radiation poisoning. It's probably like a Professor X type. Anyway, so Little Orphan Annie goes to live with Daddy Warbucks, right? It's got lots of dollars and cents. And Daddy Warbucks is like, I want a little boy to adopt. And Grace was like, I wasn't paying attention, Mr. Warbucks, so I brought you this one. So he takes care of Annie for a couple of days, and Annie kind of grows on him. While all that's going on, Miss Hannigan's over there going like, oh, little girls. She hates these little kids. And her brother, Rooster, he comes in with this beautiful blonde girl named, she's named after a hotel. Lily St. Regis. Lily St. Regis comes in with him, and they decide that they're gonna trick Daddy Warbucks into giving Annie back, because Daddy Warbucks, in befriending Annie, has discovered that Annie really wants to be with her real family. So he's going to give out a big reward for whoever can find Annie's parents, right? Okay, so Annie goes on a little radio show, and she sings, tomorrow, I love ya, tomorrow. She sings that in hopes that her family will find her. But instead, what they came up with was a good ruse. That's a word for disguise. A ruse to go to Daddy Warbucks' house, disguised as Annie's parents. Rooster and Miss St. Regis go. And they're like, oh, we want our little girl back. And Warbucks is like, y'all are Annie's parents. And they're like, we want the little girl back. And he's like, oh, all right, all right. So Daddy Warbucks is like, well, give me one more day with Annie because, you know, she's really grown on me and I think of her as my daughter now. And the parents are like, oh, okay, we haven't seen her in 90 years, but I suppose I want her more today. Would not make a difference. So while Daddy Warbucks is like saying his goodbyes to Annie, and Annie's like, oh, my parents aren't really who I thought they'd be. And he's like, you know, me neither. We're going to look into this. He sends Sir Edgar Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover, with the you know, the detective agency. He sends him to go and figure out who these people are. And then the next day, he's like, we're going to catch him in a trap. So he comes in with you know, Rooster and Lily are disguised as her parents, and they go in and they're like, we want the daughter now, please. You had your night with her, now give us the girl and the monies. And he's like, oh, really? Well, if you can tell me where Annie's favorite dog is, maybe I'll let you go. And they're like, oh, we don't know because we haven't seen her in 90 years. And he's like, that's not a good enough answer. Bring out Sandy and the police. And they arrested Rooster and Miss Hannigan and Lily St. Regis, and then all those other little girls that were in the orphanage come and live with Annie, and then the depression's over. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing. Now, the high school did get a little bit of flack for this because the dog playing Sandy bit the little girl playing Annie about halfway through Act 1 when they're doing, we'd like to thank you, Herbert Hoover, all that. Bit her and had to get put down. So at the end of that number, they just shot the dog. People thought it was part of the sound effects. It was very entertaining until the end when we figured out that the dog was dead. And we didn't really figure out that the dog was dead until Act 2 when the director came out dressed as a dog, and we were like, and a lot of people were real tore up about it. But, you know, I'm proud that those kids and that director decided, you know, the show must go on, because Annie did not complain once up there. She was just, you know, singing her little, the sun will come out tomorrow, bet your bottom dollar, while her hand is bleeding all over the place, and we just thought it was good effects. I was amazed. I was truly amazed. So, if you have any ideas of how Miss Hannigan might actually be Annie's mama, put them down in the box below, and I will read them, and then we can discuss them. Until then, my name is Odessa Okra. I'm so happy to have you guys here on my art critiquing show on the internet. And our specials down at the steakhouse tonight are steak and oysters. Half-price oysters. So come on down to Steaks Town and eat some oysters. Thank you. The sun'll come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow clears away the cobwebs and the sorrows till there's none. When I'm stuck with a